Well, all right. Here we are, day two, and we are today going to move on and talk a little bit about percents. I know there was a small video that we might have watched already, hopefully, talking about percents and decimals, but we're going to move on and talk about one more thing to do with percents today. In case you missed it, the whole reason it's called percents is because it's out of 100. And if you look at the prefix per, which is out of, and cent, which is just a Latin prefix for 100, like century is 100 years. Centipede's supposed to have 100 legs. There's 100 cents in a dollar. So it's out of 100. And you may never have noticed this before, but the percent sign is actually the number 100. There's a 1 and a 0 and a 0. It's kind of a 100 spread out. Hopefully you're not one of those freaks that does the percent sign attached to the 1, because that's really weird. Mr. Staniforth does that, and that explains how weird it is. So don't be lazy. Take the actual pencil off the paper after you make the 0, and then make the line, and then make the second 0 for the 100. That is way cooler than this horrible attached thing. Shame on you for whoever does that. All right, so percents, as long as you can make it out of 100, you are good to go. So if you've got a fraction like 1/5, and you want to turn it into a percentage, you're going to first have to make it into a fraction out of 100. So here is your multiplication skills coming into effect here, that you need to know what times 5 is 100, and in this case it's times by 20, and then multiply the top by 20 as well to make an equal fraction, which is now 20 out of 100. And as soon as you know that it's 20 out of 100, you actually have 20%. How fantastic. Because remember, it's out of 100. There's your little 100 right there. So next, we've got 3/4, 3 out of 4. Again, you want to turn this one into a percentage. You need to make it out of 100. So to make it out of 100, you need to use your math skills and figure out what you're going to times 4 by to make 100. And 4 times 25, right? 4/4 makes $1. 4 times 25 is 100. Therefore, I'm going to take 3 and times it by 25 and get 75 out of 100. As soon as you have it out of 100, well, you know that that's the percentage is 75%. There's your little 100 sign right there. 3/5 is the same thing as 1/5. So let's just do that quickly. You're going to times that by 20 and times it by 20, and that's going to be out of 100. Then 60 out of 100, which is 60%. Now, 2/8 is an interesting one because 8 doesn't divide evenly into 100. There's nothing that you can multiply 8 by to make 100. So I'm going to first realize that I can reduce this. If I reduce this to 1/4, then I already know that 4 goes into 100, exactly 25 times, exactly like we had over here. So if I reduce this first to 1/4, now I know it's going to be times by 25 and times by 25, and I got 25 out of 100, which is in fact 25%. So sometimes you're going to have to reduce the fraction first before you can actually convert it into a fraction out of 100 to find out the percent. So always be sure or have a look and see if it's reducible before you get stuck. Now, as you might have seen in the previous video, you can easily turn a percent into a decimal because it's out of 100. And as soon as it's out of 100, just take the 24% and turn it into 0.24. So the decimal would be 0.24. The percentage is 24%. If you've got 7/10 and you want to find the decimal, you're first going to have to turn it into 100ths. So to turn this into 100ths, you'd have to multiply this by 10 and multiply this by 10 and get 70 100ths. As soon as you have 70 100ths, you know that the decimal is 0.7 or 0.70 or 0.70 if you like, and the percentage is 70%. Finally, if you've got a quarter and you want to find the decimal, most of you already know that a quarter is 0.25. It's 25 cents or 0.25 of a dollar. But to figure out exactly how to do this, we want to times it by 25 and times it by 25. And that gives you 25 out of 100, which is 0.25 or 25%. So to go to decimals is pretty easy. To go back and forth from decimals to percent is quite easy. You move the decimal 2 places to the left or the right, depending on if you're going from percents to decimals or decimals to percents. Now, we run into a small problem, which we probably didn't notice on the video, but what if you've got a fraction like a third and you want to find the percent? 3 doesn't go into 100, so there's nothing that I can do to get 3 to go into 100. There's not an actual whole number. It doesn't divide evenly. So we're going to have to, in this case, use long division. We're going to have to take our bottom number 3 and divide it into our top number 1. Because remember, a fraction is just 1 divided by 3. So I'm going to take 3, the bottom number, and I'm going to divide it into 1. Well, holy smokes, 3 does not go into 1. So I'm going to have to put a decimal and add some zeros. And obviously it doesn't go into 1, so it goes in 0 times. So I'm going to have to do long division. And I'm going to have to then go 3 into 10. I'm going to basically bring down the 0 here. 3 into 10 goes in 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. Subtract. 10 take away 9 is 1. And bring down the second 0, which is 10 again. 3 goes into 10 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. Subtract and get 1 again. And you'll see a vicious cycle of 3 repeating. So with the division, we've got 0.333 repeating forever. So I could put a little dot over that last 3, saying that that 3 continues on forever. Percentage-wise, then, my percentage is going to be 33.3%, or 33.3 repeating percent. Or if you wanted to round it off just to an even 33%. So again, if you've got a number that does not go into 100, it doesn't make 100 fraction easy, then we're going to have to divide. So again, in this case, I'm going to have to take 9 and divide it into 2. 9 does not go into 2. It goes in 0 times. So I'm going to put a decimal down here. I'm going to put down a bunch of zeros. I'm going to put a decimal up here. I'm going to bring down the 2 and the first 0, which is 20. Does 9 go into 20? Yeah, 9 goes into 22 times. 2 times 9 is 18. I subtract. That's 20 take away 18, which is 2. I bring down another 0. And lo and behold, it looks like I've got the same situation. 9 goes into 20 twice again. 2 times 9 is 18. I subtract, and once again, I've got 2. Looks like I'm going to be getting 0.2 repeating over and over again. So as a decimal, this is 0.222. As a percentage, again, I would just move the decimal over 2 places. 1, 2, that'd be 22.2%. Rounded off, or you could have a repeating decimal. So that's one thing that the video did not show is what do you do if you have a number on the bottom like 7 and it does not go into 100 and it's not reducible. So you're going to have to do long division. 7 into 4 doesn't go in, so put your decimal, add a bunch of zeros, and then start doing long division. 7 into 40. Well, 7 times 5 is 35. Subtract, that leaves you with 5. Bring down the 0. 7 times 7 is 49. It's really close. It's only a difference of 1. And 7 into 10 goes once. 1 times 7 is 7. A remainder of 3. I'm just going to stop there because that's enough I've got 3 decimal places, which is plenty to find the percentage. Basically, as a decimal, that's 0.571. And as a percentage, again, move it over 2 places, that's 57.1%. Which makes sense, because 4 out of 7 is a little bit more than half. And 57.1 is a little bit more than half, so it makes sense, it's logical. So that was what the video didn't show, is how to find a decimal from a fraction that does not give you a precise answer. It's going to give you a decimal.